Shem, it seems not much has changed for us as a people, and yet we seem to keep making the same mistakes from generation to generation to generation to generation, just perpetuating economic slavery. Capitalism is killing us. We go to school to get a job to hope for a pension and die. Is this life? Nay, man, I know I deserve better. These tough economic times just go to show how capitalism is not serving us as a people. Like seriously, I believe that at our core, as Africans, we're socialists, maybe even with a dollop of communist. But the bottom line is that it is our nature as Africans to care about each other and do for each other. And these foreign traits that have permeated our society have led to our detriment. This week, our Finance Minister Calle Schlettwein called a press conference to alert the nation on the state of our economic affairs, assuring us that we're going to see growth. He also explained government's position on the proposed taxation of the informal sector.
The ministry has not announced any new tax regime. It is clear to understand that with the argument which says poor people pay municipal fees, they pay fuel tax, they pay whatever indirect taxes, all these input costs are deductible from your taxable income. So the argument of paying double is not true, because the Income Tax Act allows you to deduct what you had in input costs from your taxable income. We should effectively address the free rider problem, whereby persons who should pay tax evade or avoid paying tax but proceed to make use of public services such as roads, schools, hospitals, and so on.
Hold up. Does he mean these roads? Does he mean our services are paying for these schools? And these hospitals that send many people home with Panado? Namibians expressed themselves on their perception of the Finance Ministry's announcement that it would now be going after the informal sector to collect taxes. The executive chair for the SME Federation in SADC, Manfred Naubeb, took to social media and issued this statement ending with, "I have rejected the proposal by the Namibian government to impose tax charges on the already poor and struggling informal sector." Here's what he had to say.
The pamphlet has come at the wrong time, if I could put it that way, because everyone, all these businesses are faced with economic crisis. We are all faced with these issues, and a lot of these informal sector businesses, they lost a lot of money in the SME sector because according to our previous interviews with different informal sector businesses and the owners, they told me that they were also using SME Bank to bank their monies and, to save their monies and so on. So when this SME sector break out, everyone was affected when it comes to also the informal sector and the SMEs at large. And now the thing is that why is the government not trying more in order to, try to suspend even the directors that were involved in this, SME bank, and are just jumping the gun in order just to, decide to tax the informal sector while they have lose their money and so on in the SME bank sector. There are a lot of other businesses that are, avoiding to pay tax. That is true. But when it comes to that, we have to shift the blame again to the government, because it is due to the fact that the government structures, they are not efficient enough, or how can I say, competent enough in doing their job. And that is why at the end of the day, some of the SMEs are not even ending up paying their tax dues to the government. So it has to do with the structure and the efficiency of the government to make sure that these SMEs that are registered for tax are paying tax over to the government at the end of the day. Because not everyone in the informal sector are currently registered, legally registered, and that is my take was that if we tax these people who are not legally recognized or registered, at the end of the day, the idea of government to tax these people now in that bracket in the informal sector will be null and void. And that was my argument.
It's a Rap's new correspondent, Sibu, took to the streets of the capital to gauge public opinion on the taxation of the informal sector.
Hey y'all, Namibians are catching all kinds of feelings on the proposed taxation of the informal sector. So I went out into the hood and spoke to a few of y'all about how y'all feel about this. Check this out.
My name is Amagulu Anna. I'm selling Lashan and Gebhardt only for 3 months.
The money I get is too small to pay the tax. It's not fair. If I pay the taxi, I have the water, I have the water. How much I left? I don't left with money. And the kids also to buy the nappy, the milk, the food. It's not fair.
It's not fair because I'm just struggling for my kids, for nappy and milk.
I'm feeling bad. People are trying to make living here, and then they are trying to that's very bad. We don't have a job here. People are trying their best to feed their kids, to send their kids to the school. Now they are taxing them. That's very bad. I can see that maybe they don't have a heart for the nation.
Oh, this thing of tax, I think, is not very fair. Because you see these people like small and middle enterprises, where they buy the things that are already taxed. If he's buying bovos, he's already getting a tax. If he's buying onions to resell, then he's getting a tax. Maybe it's a baba, but he's getting as little, very little money. So if it is, they get the little, then the government want again to tax, then they remain with nothing. Then it's very tough.
The executive chair of the SME Federation in SADC, Manfred Naubeb, feels that government needs to focus on closing all the loopholes through which corruption thrives.
Government needs to come up with proper mechanisms to deal with corruption in this country. Because it's due to corruption that the government is losing out. And now if we fail, or if the government fail to address this issue of corruption, even though they deduct this amount of money or this tax, how will we know that this money will actually go to the right use of the government? Because corruption is rampant in this country, and that's the issue that we are dealing with. So the government or the Ministry of Finance should at least try to deal with that matter first and make sure that they have got closed all the doors when it comes to corruption.
Up next, it's the voice of the people in Cecilia Says.
A person who's selling fat cake or a small business meat and soup have to be deducted a tax because it's a business. And the person is having a family at home. Sometimes they go back with their food and nobody buys. Only 5 people buy that food. How will you deduct somebody tax on a business like that, where you have to deduct better companies' tax?
During a recent press conference, Finance Minister Calle Schlettwein expounded on just how much the Namibian government has actually borrowed from China.
As per the bilateral arrangement, the Namibian government has benefited from the government of the People's Republic of China, whereby government of the Republic of Namibia requests for government for China's support to extend funding to its development projects as set out in our development plans. To date, the government of Namibia benefited from Chinese loans in the form of, or not Chinese loans, sorry, from Chinese support. There are 3 levels of support that China has offered to us. It's grants, interest-free loans, and concessional loans. We have received grants to the value of 1.3 billion, interest-free loans 302 million, and concessional loans 1.6 or 1.7 billion.
You heard that, right? Just do the math.
Now the concessional terms of Chinese loans that we took up are the following. We borrowed at an interest rate of 2% and commitment fee on undisbursed balance of the loan of 0.5%. All loans attracted 5 years grace period before the payment of any principal starts, and the repayment period is 15 years. Those are the terms that we negotiated with China.
So the reality is that most of our leaders are probably going to be dodging coffins or long gone in 15 years' time when this debt to China is due. So it's going to be you and me sweating blood to repay those debts. The finance minister explained the deal the government made with the Chinese government.
The concessional terms of Chinese loans that we took up are the following. We borrowed at an interest rate of 2% and commitment fee on undisbursed balance of the loan of 0.5%. All loans attracted 5 years grace period before the payment of any principal starts, and the repayment period is 15 years. Those are the terms that we negotiated with China. The debt servicing towards Chinese loan includes capital repayments and interests, and in total amounts to 65 million per year. That's for this year.
Just last week, the affirmative repositioning movement hosted a dialogue in which various representatives of civil society debated on whether or not the state has been captured by the Chinese. I spoke to Ndibulikeni Nauyoma, who shared his views on how this might play out.
The Chinese have a position in terms of framework and policy on what they want in Africa and countries that they deal with. What is our foreign policy, for example, in Namibia? It says we are a friend to all, an enemy to none. We call the Chinese our all-weather friends. What has that gotten us into? I mean, we have the president who publicly pronounced that Jack Wang is his friend and they are business partners. Now, Jack Wang was caught at the airport and spent a few hours in custody, and then after that he was released. Now, the president already pronounces himself that this guy is my friend. How do you expect Jack Wang to be treated in this country? And many other Chinese counterparts. Now, let's look at New Era Investment, the biggest construction company we have in this country. It's a Chinese state-owned company. So if you, for example, going back to the SWAPO party being captured before independence and after independence, you begin to see that every other president that has governed the ruling party has gone to China. And they've gone for business begging to China. Look at the SWAPO Party Youth League. The same issue. Look at the SWAPO Party Women's Council. It's the same issue. The Elders Council is the same issue. So the essence of state capture is that, and the bad thing and the most scariest thing is that it's not only the Chinese, but the Chinese are at the forefront of state capture. But we must be careful that the Spanish and the Swedish and all other people are already knocking at the doors. I mean, look for example, the Atlantic Ocean that we have, the fish that we have. Why don't we consume the best fish in this country? It's because the Spanish control those resources. Now, we have learned that last night through the discussion that by 2022, it's now stated in the financials of our country by the Minister of Finance, and he says that the loans that we've been getting from China are maturing in 2022. Now, what happens in 2022 is the question that we must answer.
Here's our Finance Minister Calle Schlettwein's take on who's really captured our state.
The argument is, if we say that China has captured our economy, we must check whether the 57% that is the public sector, has that been captured by China? There's no ownership of Chinese entities in public entities. Retail and wholesale is the second largest component of our economy. Who is busy and who is the main shareholder in retail and wholesale? Look around in the malls who that is. It is not China. So the argument of being captured is nonsense. China, being the second largest economy, is an important player in the world economy, in the global economy. We would do ourselves a serious disfavor in blaming Chinese investments as being captured, capturing the Namibian economy. It's far from being true. But it must be said that China, fortunately, invested in Husab mine. That's the largest single investment in our economy. Husab mine, or Swakop mine, which is favorable, it's good, grows our GDP.
After seeing this video, I'm not sure who's capturing who.
So Derek, what's your name and from waar kom jy? Oom, ek kom van Stampriet. My skool is by Stampriet.
Ja.
En daar is by Nathan en ek
Wait, what?
Ek bly in Mariental en my naam is Derek.
Derek, gooi my thumbs up.
It's here. And check out this post-World Cup 2018 meme. The dire financial straits our citizens find themselves in has some Namibians resorting to grabbing cell phones and engaging in petty crimes just to get by. I recently spoke to some residents of Ombili who lamented the fact that although they don't experience much crime within their community, the police who service their areas have a habit of slapping the black out of them when engaging with them in their communities.
Police are good people, but the only problem we have here in Katutura, wherever we are going, before maybe, let me say, before they approach you, they will not talk to you like in the normal way. You understand? The first question is like, if I question you, and maybe you like was like, how can I answer him? And it's first thing is going, you slap you, eh? But if someone is asking you a question, if you answer, it's also a problem. You cannot answer, and it's forcing you want you to tell him, because I cannot just come and ask you, what are you doing here? And I will say, oh, I'm just waiting for my friend, or I'm just. It's already a slap for you.
Sometimes they will come at you, they will ask you, and when you answer, they will beat you. Or they will threaten you, but they are the ones that are asking me, and you understand what I'm trying to say. So a question expects an answer if you have to look at it. But in their attempts now, if you answer them back, it's something else.
We already know that bars always they need to close around 10 at night. And sometimes our police doesn't treat us well, you know. He saw that you are very drunk, coming from out of the taxi, then he just only pick you up again and they go drop you somewhere to Ochemise, where you are from Ombili. And I think that they didn't, like that, they didn't stop crimes, but they increasing crimes. What so if I get beaten there on that way? Or what so if I step it or cause something so dangerous?
Sometimes they found people during the night. Instead of telling people, they start fighting the people. It's where the people they start fighting also, which is not good. Yeah, when they end up shooting the people.
You know, and the other side I realized to the police, they like to using their gas. Yeah, and they didn't even think that there's some kids, small kids in the house, and they just only put some gas in there.
They are good in times of security, but sometimes they overuse their power.
Police were good people. Once they come, they do help. But the problem which I have experienced, police sometimes you find most of the police which they say they are not in duty, while the crime they've been done the time. So I think a policeman should be always on duty. What doesn't matter, it's not on duty, it's all forward. But I think that's the job of him.
I spoke to Police Commissioner Edwin Kangwachivi about this culture of violence within the police and what the youth can do about it.
The mandate of the Namibian police force is the maintenance of law and order, the protection of life and property. Thus, it is not within our mandate to abuse members of the public. We would rather, protect them. However, should a member of the public feels that the police members are abusing powers and mistreating them, there is a department within the police force basically dedicated to investigate and take appropriate measures on police officers accused of wrongdoing. That is called Internal Investigation Directorate. In each respective region, there is that department, in all 14 regions, there is an office for internal investigation where a member should go and lay the complaint. Should there nothing comes of it, obviously the head in the respective region is the regional commander. Then you would go to the regional commander. Should there nothing come of it, that's when you probably would approach the Deputy Inspector General for operations and or administration. If nothing comes of it, you still have the head of the police, the Inspector General. Nothing comes of it, you have the minister and the deputy ministers. So there is a whole chain where this complaint can be channeled. But the police, in fearing that the public may, have complaints against it and there would be no where to go or recourse or have recourse, they have created a department, internal investigation directorate, in each and every region to deal with this kind of accusations and abuse, if there is. So basically, we investigate. We take every report as a complaint. The complaint is then investigated. If we confirm, then the person is charged and appropriate. The due process of law take its course.
Times are tough, but instead of moaning about it, It's a Wrap has decided to try and lend a helping hand. And so it is my pleasure to introduce our new segment, The Wrap Gives Back, with our new correspondent, Sibu. Check this out.
Hello, It's a Wrap family. I'm your new It's a Wrap correspondent, Sibo. Introducing our new segment, It's a Wrap Gives Back. Last week on It's a Wrap, we met Israel Emmanuel, an unemployed 27-year-old with 2 children living in a shack in Havana, who is literally zularing to survive. It's a Wrap collaborated with Patricia Pickering, who found a sponsor to donate the delectable soups she makes to a needy organization, and the rest was history. Check this out.
Today we had the privilege of being able to give the people or community of Havana some soup and some bread. I think a lot of the time we take things for granted, so it was a great opportunity for us to be able to come out here and to at least give the kids and some of the adults something to eat for the day.
We asked the kids just how much they enjoyed the soups.
My name is Lazarus Alexander. This soup was very nice. The problem with this soup is not enough salt. So you guys need to add some salt,
My name is Lazarus Shilongo, and I enjoyed the soup of getting it because it's something very healthy, and we think you will be doing it for every Thursday. Thank you very much.
My name is Eligan Jodi. I enjoyed this soup but the problem is that there's much chili, and I thank you for coming. You can also donate many soup for us.
Thank you, Miss Erka and Patricia and my brother Delvin for donating Havana's people. And I have to thank the Havana community people. They welcome here. These are shoes from Okuriangava service station. I'm very, 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 very thankful for that.
Thank you, It's a Wrap! Whilst out in the community of Ombili, It's a Wrap met Annelie, a third-year banking student who pleaded with us to help her find the 13,100 she needs to complete her studies this year. Check this out.
My name is Annelie Shinedima, and I'm a third-year student at our Institute of Bankers. But currently, I used to volunteer myself at Samuel Kapapa's soup kitchen there. And currently, I'm in my third year doing my advanced diploma at Namibian Institute of Bankers. And for the reason why I'm here, I'm seeking for help. If there will be anybody who will be able to help me with to pay my tuition fee. Like for my first year and the second year, my parents tried to pay for me. And then for the second year, they tried to pay for my first registration. But then they came to have too much debts because they don't work. Like for my mom doesn't work, my father doesn't work, he's old. And the thing is that as they try now to get help from different people they need back their money. And the thing is that if I won't get somebody to help me to pay for my tuition fee right now, I might drop out or maybe not to write examination. So what I currently want is that maybe somebody to offer me a job, then they pay for my tuition fee, or maybe I can work for them. I mean, they can help me money, and then from there, once I get a job, then I can pay back. We are talking about 13,100. That's what I really need. Maybe if there is any company where I can work in their finance department or maybe office administration, since I have experience in that, that would help. Then maybe I can work for them, then they pay for me.
In the spirit of Harambe, My people, let's combine our collective forces and see how we can alleviate some of the undue pain and suffering our fellow citizens experience. Reach out to It's a Wrap on Facebook, YouTube, or Instagram, and let's make this world a better place. For It's a Wrap Gives Back, I'm Sibo, out here trying to make a difference. You should too.